what happened to the Great Britain.
It is, he says, a symbol of what life has become for British Jews. Becky Johnson, Sky News, North London.
Now, the search for the man accused of carrying out a chemical alkali attack on his ex-partner and her children appears to be over. Police searching for Abdullah Zaidi have recovered a body with his distinctive clothing from the River Thames. Ivor Bennett reports.
This is the moment police believe they finally found Abdullah Zaidi. Officers were filmed pulling a body from the Thames yesterday, 3 weeks after the Clapham chemical attack. It hasn't been formally identified yet, but detectives are confident it's him.
Because of the amount of time that the body has been in the water, it's not been obvious to do an easy visual identification or indeed get immediate fingerprints. However, with the very distinctive clothing that was being worn and the property that we found on the body, we are able to strongly believe that this is Abdul Zaidi.
Azidi's suspected of carrying out this attack, a brutal assault with a corrosive alkali on his ex-partner and her young children. Azidi himself was also injured before he went on the run. The last sighting was later that night on Chelsea Bridge, where police believe he entered the water. The body was recovered here, near Tower Bridge, 5 miles from where Azidi was last seen. But even though police believe their search for him is now over, they say their investigation into the attack continues. That's because they're yet to speak to the victim, who remains in hospital. A friend posted, "We know she's lost her sight in one eye and we're praying that it returns fully in the other. She's already making so much progress and is determined to get out of hospital as quickly as possible. But physically and mentally, there is a very, very long road ahead for her and the girls." While police will now use DNA and dental records to identify Azidi. Ivor Bennett, Sky News.
The mother of one of the victims of the Nottingham triple killer has told Sky News how she burst into tears with relief when she heard that his sentence will be reviewed. The Attorney General has referred Valdo Kalokani's case to the Court of Appeal after she concluded that the sentence, an indefinite hospital order, was unduly lenient. Our Midlands correspondent Becky Cottrell reports.
All their families want is justice. Grace O'Malley Kumar, Barnaby Webber and Ian Coates. The three were stabbed to death by this man, Valdo Kalokani, a paranoid schizophrenic who is serving his sentence not in a prison but in a secure psychiatric facility. Now the families of those he killed have been told his sentence is going to be reviewed by the Court of Appeal. Emma Webber, Barnaby's mother, says she cried when she heard the news.
I call him the monster, but if Kalokani was out in 20 years, he'd only be 52 years old. He'd have decades and decades left. And what we were pleased to hear is the recognition that the hospital order carries no penal elements and that there should be a penal element.
That recognition coming from the Attorney General, who said, having received detailed legal advice and considered the issues raised very carefully, I've concluded that the sentence imposed against Kalokani for the offences of manslaughter by reason of diminished responsibility and attempted murder was unduly lenient and will be referred to the Court of Appeal. Her decision took the relatives of Grace, Barnaby and Ian by surprise and gave them hope, but it came just after they received another shock. Nottinghamshire Police have said that in the aftermath of the attacks, 11 officers viewed material related to the case without a legitimate reason to. An officer then posted a message about what they'd seen on a WhatsApp group, a message that's been described as crude and distasteful. 3 officers have faced disciplinary action, with one of them being sacked. In a statement, Superintendent Andrew Reynolds said, "We have taken these matters extremely seriously. Those who access material without any legitimate policing purpose can expect the harshest of sanctions, including dismissal from the organisation."
It's sickening, it's abhorrent voyeurism, and it's inexcusable.
Grace, Barnaby and Ian's relatives have said they can't begin to grieve yet because they're still fighting for answers and accountability. They feel they still have a long way to go. Becky Cottrell, Sky News, Nottingham.
Now, last year, we revealed the desperate measures taken by some parents following big increases in the price of baby formula, with some shoplifting or buying open containers from online sellers. Well, now the competition watchdog has launched an investigation into the baby formula market. Our national correspondent, Tom Parmenter, reports.
It's quite simple. Baby formula is too expensive for too many families.
I hate the price. I
Hate it?
I hate it. You go down the aisle and you think, well, that's half of my food budget for the week. Gone on formula.
The Competition and Markets Authority is already investigating the formula milk industry, but it has now announced a further step. It's launched a market study with added legal powers to ensure it can gather the information it needs.
It means the CMA is taking this to another level, giving its investigation real teeth and using its power to scrutinise the claim that families are being exploited with unjustifiably high prices.
The investigation is due to report to the government in September.
You're not going to see a change really till potentially next year, if that. You know, it's not quick enough, it's not soon enough. It should have already been sorted and dealt with by now.
It does feel like progress. It's taken a while. It's a shame that it's got to this point, but yes, definitely. Let's just hope that it makes a difference and that they're listened to.
Lynn is a foster parent who cares for babies. She's had nearly 40 boys and girls over the years here in Grimsby, all reliant on baby formula.
I think people have just been accepting it. So the fact that it's now acknowledged as a problem means that the companies have to relook at the pricing. If you look at the company's profits, that will tell you that they are profiteering and they need to bring that down. Baby milk, baby formula should not be about profits. It should be about being available to feed the babies.
Their voices are now being heard. Prices are slowly starting to come down. But if the CMA confirms what many suspect is going on, the UK government will be expected to act. Tom Parmenter, Sky News.
The mother of Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny has appealed to President Putin to release his body immediately for burial. Lyudmila Navalnaya also accused the Russian leader of killing her son as she laid flowers at a memorial devoted to political prisoners. The Kremlin has denied any involvement with his death in prison. Stay with us here on Sky News. Coming up, we've got all the sport, including Manchester City are up to second in the Premier League after Erling Haaland scored the only goal of the game against Brentford.
A moment of calm. Brought to you by Twinings. Alive in every drop.
You got your club card?
Club card accepted.
Effectively declared bankrupt in recent months, but people. Welcome back. Now, it's one thing to have to pay higher council tax. It's another to also face reductions in services. That's what's facing residents in a number of English councils, effectively declared bankrupt in recent months. But people pretty much everywhere are facing higher bills, increasing by nearly 5% from April. Sky's political correspondent Matthew Thompson reports now from Woking.
The Surrey borough of Woking is bankrupt. As a result, services like this vital community hub are at risk.
Have you got any? No.
A local charity is stepping in to salvage what it can. And here at the local Scrabble afternoon, they aren't short of words to describe the situation.
Well, they're cutting out a lot of the public toilets. What they expect people to do? Take your drawers down, wet in the ground? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I belong to a religious group that meets here on a Saturday, and we got to find somewhere else to go.
Woking is the most indebted council in the country. That's largely the result of risky investments in skyscrapers like these, which have become symbols of financial mismanagement.
We need to live within our means. We haven't been doing that for a number of years, and that's what we're doing with these budget changes. Taking grants away from community groups that do fantastic work in our local area is incredibly painful. What I do feel is some relief that we've looked for innovative solutions.
The dire financial situation means that Woking Council is having to make millions of pounds of cuts at the same time as increasing council tax by as much as 10%, meaning people here are paying more and getting less. But it's not just Woking. A similar picture is emerging right across the country. 128 local councils plan to hike council tax by just under 5%. The rises mean that the average Band D council tax of £2,065 will rise by £103. 4 bankrupt councils, Birmingham, Woking, Slough and Thurrock, have been given special dispensation by the government to raise council tax by up to 10%.
Central government has effectively willed increases in taxation onto local governments. What that means is council tax goes up fast in real terms, and that bears on lower income households because council tax is disproportionately focused on lower income households.
It's no secret that the government's hopes for a poll boost are hung on more tax cuts. But if people see their local taxes going up whilst service levels fall, politically, that could spell trouble for the Conservatives. Matthew Thompson, Sky News in Woking.
Now, it's taken 15 months, and if you're a Manchester United fan, it must feel a lifetime. But finally, there's confirmation that the Glazer family have handed over control of the club's footballing operations to a British billionaire. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris has been following developments.
The local lad, the boyhood Manchester United fan, completing a deal to buy 27.7% of Manchester United. It's going to cost him £1.3 billion, including promised investment in Old Trafford. It isn't the full sale that fans had been calling for, but it does end the Glazers' control of football operations after 19 years. The debt is all still there, but now we have Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's going to be overseeing things. And in a statement tonight, he said, to become co-owner of Manchester United is a great honour and comes with great responsibility. This marks the completion of the transaction, but just the beginning of our journey to take Manchester United back to the top of English, European and world football with world-class facilities for our fans. Work to achieve these objectives will accelerate from today. And already, before completing the deal, change is already afoot. They've got a new chief executive, Omar Barada, who's been brought in from great rivals Manchester City. They've lined up a sporting director who could be brought in at great cost from Newcastle. And for fans, it's about restoring the confidence, the greatness of the team and infrastructure that has fallen behind rivals like Manchester City.
Let's get the rest of the day's sports news now with Joe.
Goal! I've spotted an opportunity, found the space and slotted it home. It's what I do. This sports bulletin is brought to you by Vitality.